talking about investing and investing with purpose. And I think you can define investing in a lot of ways. The very traditional way that we would think about it, especially at Bloomberg, where you're actually thinking about the investors and the financial markets. But there's also the investment in terms of resources and training and time. And so I want to talk with you about all these different varieties of investing. But first, let's start with the core of what you do and the core of what we care about at Bloomberg, really, which is around that financial investment. So at NEOM, how are you thinking about how you balance the fiduciary responsibilities that you have, and especially in your role, with the value and the importance of purpose-driven strategies?
Well, that's a great question. Let me start maybe with the most important one, which is sustainability. And I think so sustainability is very important to all of us, and specifically for us at NEOM. It actually measures the way that we operate on a day-to-day basis. It measures the way we select who do we work with and how do we work with them. And today we're looking for partners from around the world that really share the core principal values that we have when it comes to sustainability. And when you speak about sustainability and investment, it's funny, a few years ago when you think about it, the word sustainability and investment didn't used to come in one sentence, because people used to tell you anything sustainable is not going to be economically driven. It's not going to generate the right revenues for us. But in today's world, it's actually the opposite. Today, if you want to deliver a sustainable business, a profitable business, it should be built on the foundation of sustainability. And you have a number of use cases around the world that prove this. Sustainable businesses and products have a better market cap and growth of around 10 to 15%. And evident is that what you saw in the capital market, where green bonds actually had 30 basis points difference versus like for like in non-green. You would look as well as the cost of doing business. A few years ago, when you used to speak about sustainability or, example, renewable energy, the discussion would end in a nanosecond because it didn't make any economic sense for the cost of doing business. Today, sustainable practices actually prove to be much better cost for doing business. You can improve your cost by 5 to 10% on average. And most importantly, it's the purpose and productivity. People today, specifically millennials as well as new generation, they feel that if they're in a company that adds value, a company that they can connect to the purpose, productivity improves significantly. And that's really what's very important when you think about sustainability and business today. So the discussion between sustainability and business is much more proven and much more positive today versus what it was many years ago. And at NEOM today specifically, we have an opportunity to look at this from a completely different way. We have an opportunity of a global opportunity that we're presenting to redefine livability, redefine business, and redefine sustainability. And maybe if you'll allow me, I'll just explain what do we mean by this. The possibility for us to redefine sustainability is actually introducing and redefining the relationship between human and nature, trying to really focus on not going only by 100% renewable energy, but trying to define the way of going to net zero carbon. And what are the different technologies and methods that you will be implementing. Redefining businesses is introducing a new concept of developing the infrastructure, developing the laws, regulation, and everything you need around the business to allow them to grow and to develop. And finally, redefining livability, which is an aspect that rarely we focus on when we speak about sustainability and about business. Focusing really on how do you create an environment that focuses on people first, which is something that we've been missing over the last few years because of the nature of life. We've missed that aspect that we speak about people. And how can you create an exceptional life that focuses on them particularly? And how can you bring back to them and make sure you create the right environment that focuses on allowing people to be more happy and develop more things that make sense for them? And that's what we're trying to deliver in NEOM by providing exceptional quality of life that will focus primarily on enhancing the quality of life through technology in harmony with nature. And really, this is a very important aspect because for many of you that may know or might not know, NEOM, we're only developing 5%. 95% will be untouched. And that's the point, to make sure that this is the quality of life that we're bringing to people, where walkability is actually at the heart of everything to do. And you're going to create an exceptional quality of life, focusing on healthy quality of life, because walkability is going to be around everything you're going to do. So that's really how we're looking about developing business, but from a sustainable lens, from a holistic approach.
I think it's a really interesting framing to talk about redefining sustainability and what that means for you. So I'm curious, how are you thinking just more broadly about the importance of ESG for you at NEOM?
Well, ESG is extremely important for everyone, but for NEOM, it's actually the foundation of everything we do. As a matter of fact, NEOM is ESG native. ESG defines everything that we do at NEOM. You know, every decision that we make at NEOM, from deciding what to invest in, which sector are we going to look at, it's going to be done through an ESG lens to look at it. In NEOM, we're trying to, because it's a green field, we're trying to introduce a new ESG taxonomy, new ESG standard, as well as new ESG regulation that will help this industry to grow. We're equally trying to position NEOM as a global benchmark to develop industrial, sustainable practices. In parallel, we're trying to create NEOM to make it an incubation hub for global companies as well as local champions that really would like to introduce new ESG initiatives that will be able to improve the quality of life on the long term.
I think one of the things that you're alluding to is just the size and the scope and the scale of what you're doing. So I have to imagine there's a huge value of partnerships for you. And this is something where you're bringing in that talent, you're building those teams, but I'm sure you're relying on partners. So how are you thinking about who those partners are, the partners that you work with? How do you choose who you want to be your partners on this journey?
Well, I'm very happy that you use the word partners, because that's really what we're looking for. We're not looking for just people that are going to be investors, or we're looking for partners, people that share the same objective, people that share the same goals that we have, and really are interested to partner with us on the long term, following the same values, the same principle, and together to create a win-win situation. So when we look at partners, there is a number of opportunities for us to work with partners. And I'll take maybe a step just to explain what we're doing at NEOM when it comes to partnership. At NEOM today, we're saying, yes, we're creating a new region. We're creating a city that is going to be focused primarily on sustainable principle at the heart, a city that will introduce a global opportunity to redefine business, sustainability, and livability. We will have 8 regions in total. We've launched 4 of these regions. Just to allude, we've launched Oxagon, which is the first floating industrial city that will introduce the future of industries, Industry 4.0. And it will be home for all of the different types of manufacturer as well as industry that want to invest in really new sustainable products. We've also launched The Line, which is the first vertical city that will completely transform the way we live today. It will be empowered by artificial intelligence that will always look for ideas and ways to make life more simpler and easier for people that live there. We've launched Trojena, which is our mountain destination, which is going to be a touristic destination, a small location that is built around a mountain lake that will host a number of hotels, residential apartments, offering an exceptional quality of life and livability. And 2 days ago, we've just launched one of our islands, Sindala, which is a location and a destination in the shores of the Red Sea that will actually be introducing all the different sports activities as well as different activities around the Red Sea to develop there. In parallel, we have launched 14 different economic sectors, because we're not saying we're going to launch a touristic destination or a nice place just to look at. We're creating a new economic engine for the region and the world based on sustainable practices. And these 14 economic sectors that we created are going to be the foundation to help us introduce the future of business, as well as the future of how economic growth is going to look in NEOM. It is through these sectors we're redefining energy, so it powers our life sustainably. And it is through these sectors we're redefining mobility, so cities becomes more human. We're redefining industry, so it actually coexists with nature, and technology, so it predicts our need ahead of time. It is through these sectors we were able to create a blueprint of what is the future of that sector, the vision as well as the future. For someone to think, well, you're in Saudi Arabia, you must focus on fossil fuel and oil and gas. Well, we're not. In NEOM, we're saying the future is not in oil and gas. It's not in fossil fuel. The future is in energy, but a different source of energy that we need to look at. And a source of energy that will focus primarily on renewable, introducing new technologies in renewable as well as the supplemented different industry that support this industry to grow in terms of green hydrogen, in terms of water desalination, and so on. And it is through these different sectors, we've created the vision, we created the future of which this sector is going to go at, and we've developed a blueprint. And through that blueprint, we were able to prioritize different opportunities and what are we going to focus today. So in terms of time and where to focus on and how to select partners, we actually have a blueprint that will enable us and will help us. What are we going to focus today? What are the opportunities available? Which partner should we engage in? And what to develop and actually making it happen. And it's a detailed work. And the 14 sectors that we've identified are completely different than what people expect. We have energy, we have water, we have food. And all of these are specifically focused from the sustainable perspective because you want the city to be sustainable. We've identified media, entertainment and culture, education, healthcare. So all of these sectors that you look at are primarily focusing on creating a sustainable environment, but actually focusing on the people primarily. And that's all linked to our vision in NEOM, which is not to build the largest city, the most advanced, the most expensive. On the contrary, our vision at NEOM is focused on attracting the best talent from all around the world that will come and have the ability to develop the most innovative ideas with nothing that will hold them back. We will develop the necessary regulation, standards that will allow all these innovations to grow, develop, and commercialize.
And as you're talking about these blueprints and thinking about how you lay them out, how much of that do you think is very applicable to NEOM specifically because of all of those things that you just mentioned, because of the environment and the authority that you have and building something from scratch? And what do you think is more applicable globally that other people or other cities or other destinations can be learning from?
Well, everything I think so that we'll develop in NEOM can be scaled up and exported globally. Maybe we have the advantage because it's a green field, because there is nothing there today. You have the ability, it's a legacy-free blueprint, so nothing is going to hold you back from any legacy infrastructure. In addition to that, you will be able to develop a set of flows regulation that is primarily focused on allowing the business to grow. And because you're going to be focusing primarily on not what exists today, but you're building something for the future. So you're going to have a better risk appetite to introduce innovations, to introduce technology, test them, scale them, validate them, then export them globally. This is the core of what NEOM is trying to do. So everything that we're doing in NEOM, maybe we have the ability to test, validate, scale, then after that you would like to commercialize this globally. That's the whole intention, and that's the vision of doing NEOM. Because, again, the main foundation and the main enablers that you have, you're not going to be able to do this in any developed cities. Today, as an example, we're in New York. It's a well-developed city. If you want to implement a vertical mobility, can you do this? Can you start thinking of developing a city that you have 0 cars and 0 streets? Can you imagine doing this in a city that's already developed? You're not able to do it. Mm-hmm. So these are some of the things I believe NEOM have an advantage in, because we don't have anything on the ground. You're starting everything from the ground up. We're actually building the city based on learnings from all around the globe, because there is use cases, there is a good foundation to develop based on that. And we believe taking all of the learnings and actually putting them in a hub in NEOM, scaling them, validating some of these technologies, developing them further, and after that, once the concept is proven, take them globally. That's the main concept of what we're trying to do. And we always call NEOM as the largest living laboratory, because it is laboratory. We're not looking at any conventional idea. It's new innovations and how you really take them to the next generation of development.
That's exactly what I was thinking as you were saying. That sounds exactly like a laboratory and a good laboratory approach. As you describe all of these different things, I cannot imagine all of the ideas and work and priorities that come across your desk every single day. So back to this theme of really investing, moving away from financial investing and more into time. How are you thinking about how you invest the time that you have and the resources that you have? How do you decide one project versus another? What's more important? How do you make that trade-off in your own job?
Well, it's a tough one, because we always say that 24 hours is is not enough in a day for us to continue to build what we need to do. We have a very ambitious target in NEOM. We have 14 sectors, 8 regions. Really, the work is day and night to make this dream a reality. And we have a set of targets by 2030 as well as 2045 to achieve. It's simple. The way that we're prioritizing time is, as I said, we have these sectors. We've identified the vision of each of those sectors. We've put what is the future going to look like, what are the milestones to deliver it. We've took that as a foundation across all 14. We've developed an investment strategy based on the input of these sectors with clear timeline based on our readiness and maturity of infrastructure. So you cannot come and have an opportunity that will not have all the elements to allow it to be successful in terms of infrastructure, in terms of certain requisites and requirement to allow this opportunity to be able to materialize and to develop. So we look at the sectors as a main input, their strategies, their vision. We take the input timeline, develop a detailed investment strategy that looks exactly how can we identify the right partners for each opportunity, what is the right business case that will allow this opportunity to materialize, what are the required incentives that we need to have in place to make it happen, and make sure that we work on all of the different enablers to make this a complete business case. And after that, we actually put them across a timeline based on the stages of development that we have. This timeline, if it we define the opportunities based on this timeline. Some of these opportunities, we put them as a base case, which is it's clear, it's known, we have the required elements to make it a success, and we know we have a detailed business case developed. Some of them, we call them top-line growth, that there is still a lot of unknowns. We're still going to work on these, and once we have clarity, we're going to be able to take it to the next level. And some of these opportunities, we call them white space, because we always need to keep an open eye for new imagination, new ideas that come, and not only just be, well, this is what we have today. We need to have this flexibility as opportunities come. How are we going to be able to address them? How are we going to be able to actually think outside the box to cater for those and develop the required infrastructure, regulation, as well as incentive in making it happen? So our time is spent, focused primarily based on a strategy where we have a goal and a mission of how are we going to be able to deliver. But equally, we are open for business today, and the moment we receive any request from any customer partner, we work with them on the details of how can we make sure that we work hand in hand as one team to mobilize this opportunity on the ground today. So as I said, the day 24 hours is not enough for us to do what we intend to do, but we have a blueprint and a clear strategy with timeline that will help us to prioritize and see what's the focus today versus what should we keep for tomorrow. But if something comes today that we thought that we might need it in 25, but there is a possibility to make it happen, why not?
Why not? That's a smart strategy. Have a plan, but be open to flexibility.